Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the markets in EVE Online. And while we head over to the couch, this is actually take two because I made a human error while I was exporting the previous video, and now it's completely unsalvageable. So here we go, take two for EVE Talk. We had a nice dev fleet last night, which did give me the opportunity to perhaps that a little bit and get a video up. So this EVE Talk is going to be for Sunday, then a little bit delayed, but here we go. We're here for the market, so let's have a look. Obviously this might just go a little bit faster than usual because I've already done all of this just about a few hours ago. But let's start off with the minerals, and we've got some good news here for titanium. As you can see, the 5-day moving average has jumped above 4.8 ISK and definitely above the 20-day moving average. So it looks like titanium is working on a bottom. Pyrite, it's not as visible, but it's also just slightly above the 20-day moving average for pyrite here. Current price in station is 11.75, which is pretty much flat, but this might just be an indication of a bottom as well. In Mexalon, although I was a little too early, I bought my Mexalon at around 40. It's also going up here, and then at the tail end it's going back down a little bit, but this might just be a bottom here as well. And then finally I think we have Isogen. Yeah, Isogen is also on its way up. You can clearly see here the 5-day moving average departing from the 20-day moving average and staying well above 120. So for HiSec miners and for the HiSec minerals, this looks pretty good. Now my theory of what's behind this are the announcements for EVE Online Rubicon, and more specifically all the new stuff that is going to be buildable, especially the deployable infrastructure such as the siphon unit, the loot unit, and of course especially your personal depot. I think a lot of people are expecting a lot of manufacturing needing to be done, so increased demand for minerals, and I think this explains why we're seeing a bottom. On top of that, during a winter expansion there's generally a lot of activity, and a lot of people do try the most accessible industrial stuff, which is also Tech 1 stuff due to minerals. Now the high-end ones coming from 00 and wormhole space, here you can see Megasite still slowly trending down, but it's actually very slow. Noxium, well, it's trying right here at the very tail end. You can see the 5-day moving average crossing the 20 days, so this might just start going back up. Unfortunately it's already at 694 ISK. So yeah, it broke 700, and if you look at the 1-year chart, this is what most of the high-end ones look, a really steep decline since EVE Online Odyssey. Megasite, you can see the same. It's not as drastic as for Noxium, but it's clearly similar. And then Zydrine here as well, still trending down. So for the mineral market, yeah, low-end minerals, we're seeing a bottom being formed in my opinion. High-end minerals still slowly trending down. Now, impact on the Take 1 chips, unfortunately, we have the Drake here that is, that is working on, it's really trying to get to 42 million, 42,150, it actually just broke that on the GTA market, but it's of course still very low for the year. As you can see, we're really at bottom prices. The Maelstrom, there seems to be some speculation going on here, but I would say reasonably flat, and in fact 5-day moving average just below 175 right here, so that's probably prices here as well. Yeah, just below 175 for the Maelstrom, so no sign of them really reacting to a possible increase in prices from the minerals, except for the Omen here. That one is going up a little bit, which is good because I can produce some of them. The Rock, same as the Maelstrom, pretty much flat I would say, and then the Talos also flat. It tried a few times to go back towards 70 million, but it's not really been successful so far. 68,500 for a Talos at the moment, even 66,500 some of them. So yeah, this all seems pretty flat, and I'm expecting that it will take some time before Take 1 chips actually start to move up. And the minerals will have to have known a bit of a rise before you actually see this effect on the Tech 1 market. Moving on to Tech 2 ships, I'll quickly go over these for trade opportunities as I always do. So Absolution a little bit too flat. Here is the Astartes market. This is pretty interesting. If you manage to buy them here at this slow, at this small bottom here at below 240, you're already looking at a pretty good deal because they're back up to 250. In fact, 253 already in station, and as you can see, this is going up quite nicely. So this could be a good trade opportunity, sell opportunity that is forming for the Astartes if you manage to buy them at 240. The Claymore is slowly trending down, so I would watch out for maybe a buying opportunity in that soon. Damnation, way too flat. All of the MR ships seems to be going sideways way too much, and I don't think I want to do any active trading in them at the moment. The EOS is also trending flat, and I think this is normal because the EOS has really become a niche game, a niche ship, with being the battle cruiser that will be able to field 5 heavy drones, and the market of that is really trying to find this new price point, and it's really hard because of how few ships are coming to the market at the moment to really to be able to have any speculative movement in this or any large movement. So yeah, 314, 318, and then 344. Someone is trying to get some really high prices for the EOS, but you can clearly see, I think, with Odyssey, how the changes to the EOS have made it go from 230 up to 320, something like that, almost 320. So that's a really big increase and sustained increase in the EOSs. Obviously, if you were a producer of EOSs, I think you're very, very happy with this. But for speculation at the moment, I'd be holding off. The Guardian is looking decently interesting because it's pretty low. I'd say 127, 128, something like that, and trending down. So this might just be a small buying opportunity for a quick 5 or 10 million profit per ship if of course it goes back up. But as you can see, just at the beginning of September, early September, it knew a big jump there from 120 to 135. So this is not unrealistic that we could be seeing a buying opportunity here. Nighthawk a little bit too flat. Sleipnir going down quite heavily, in fact close to a lows for the year, so maybe a buying opportunity, but don't expect a quick return on that. And the Vulture, same here. For some reason, people seem to have overestimated at first the impact of the Vulture changes, because it knew a nice rise up towards 300, sustained that for a bit now, but now it's back down towards its normal price of 220, 214, even 215 in station. And I wouldn't be sure, considering before all of the announcements, if this is really a great buying opportunity or if anything special, because it's actually trending down at the moment. So I'd be careful here. But yeah, those are the trade opportunities. I'd say the Astartes is looking like a very interesting ship at the moment. And then if you want to buy something, maybe a close eye on the Guardian, and the Claymore could get slowly into interesting territory. But other than that, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this evolves. For the Tech 3 ships, just more bad news on the horizon. Look at this Legion below 170, very low. Loki below 170 by quite a bit. Proteus around 180, so this seems to still be holding up a little bit, maybe even a slow uptrend for the Proteus as well. And then the Tengu, unfortunately, also below 170, so all of them pretty much on year lows, and it's not looking too good at the moment for Tech 3 ships. And in fact, I think there is a new reason for Tech 3s to take even more of a dive. It's because of the interceptor changes. These will be able to actually ignore bubbles or be immune to bubbles, and this was something that only a Tech 3 could do with a specific module, or no, it's actually not a module. What's it called for Tech 3 ships? Let me have a quick look if I can find that here. Nope, that's not gonna be here. Anyways, you need one of those special special parts on your Tech Tree ship in order to avoid the bubbles. But if you can do this in an interceptor now, this just means even less demand, I think, for Tech Tree ships. So I think they'll be going down even more after this, because at the moment Tech Trees are really going out of style for anything other than very specific nullsec doctrines, and maybe in wormhole space as well. But they've lost a lot of their power to the hacks, the normal cruisers, with all the rebalancing. So until we hear from Tech Tree rebalancing, I think we're looking at very low prices for Tech Tree ships. Now, moving on to some of the more interesting stuff with the expansion announcement, the announcement of EVE Online Rubicon. First of all, let's have a quick look at the interceptors. So these should be very interesting. And in fact, I can quickly go over all these charts because they're all very similar. During the live stream, I think it was CCP Fozzy announced that the interceptors would become immune to bubbles, and this is the reaction right here. A big jump from 12 million, and then now we have data points at 20 million. In fact, they're being sold for 25 million, so pretty much a doubling in price for the Crusader. Malediction, similar chart right there, 11 million to 19 million, something like that. Nice jump here as well. The Crow, that seems a little less pronounced, but they're going for 22 million now. The Raptor clearly visible here again from 11 to 15. That's not that much, but a good jump again as well. Ares, similar chart. Tyrannis, similar chart. Claw, the same. And finally the Stiletto as well. So this is really why it's important to keep a close eye on EVE news like that. In fact, I have bought for about $1 billion in interceptors, and I'm hoping to make some profit out of it. Another one of my viewers actually said that he was right there at the beginning, put up sell orders right away, and he made a quick billion. I think it was from like a 3 billion investment or something like that. So he just made 2 PLEX in like 20 minutes just for watching the live stream, and that's of course really awesome. Now there is one thing to keep in mind, although I've not seen it confirmed just yet. I don't know where the viewer got it, but one comment said that interceptors will cost less to be produced, so their building cost might be reduced. This would of course mean that it's easier to produce them and more supply, which should have a downward effect on the interceptors. But personally, I bought some and I've put them up at the current prices, and they're actually slowly selling. So I do think that because they'll be so useful also just for transport of very valuable goods, or from getting from to nullsec and scouting that stuff out, I personally think that they'll be so much more popular, so much more demand, that even with a reduction in cost for producing them, we might just be seeing normal higher prices for interceptor. Anyway, that's what I'm hoping for, of course, since I did invest some money in that, and I'm hoping for some profit. But for me, it's not really that I managed to sell them all right away, but they are slowly starting to sell on the sell orders that I put them in. I think I was aiming for 20-25% profit on what I got, so I was a little bit late, admittedly. Yep, and here Rylot wants me to cover the Marauders again as well. As we know, the Marauders will get like a deployable mode where they will become very tanky and be able to project a lot of damage, and then they'll be able to move around in between those modes with a very fast ability to jump around with the micro jump drive, so advanced battleships. And here we go for the Marauders. Now I've already done this previously, and look at the Paladin, back to 0.9 billion, so it went up around almost 100 million ISK on the announcements, but it's back to normal. So overall, just not really any movement for the Paladin just yet. The Golem, similar right here, big spike up to 1.15 billion, but back down to 0.95. So 200 million increase, all on speculation, and it's back down to normal because I guess people aren't really sure if it's going to be a new 0-0 doctrine, or I think that's what it would need to be to become to have much more demand for these chips. And then here the Varger, I'm not going for the Galente one, I'll show you why in a second. Exactly the same, you know, spike up to 1 billion, so 100 million ISK jump here, but then back down pretty much to its normal price below 0.9 for a Varger. So yeah, all of this was done on speculation on the announcement, but overall the Marauders are back where they started. There is an exception, however, and this is the Kronos. Look at that chart. So it was doing the exact same thing, jumping from 0.95 to 105, almost 110. And then it was starting to decline back towards 0.95, but here right at the tail end we see a huge spike again. In fact, someone or a group must have said, well, we're going for this Kronos market because all of them, the lowest price is 1.3 billion. But I do think that this is a very nice test case, because there is only one reason I can see the Kronos is going up like that, is because they showed a picture of the deployed Kronos during the live stream. And so I think someone or a group of people jumped on that, and well, I'm not sure if they'll be successful. I'm not sure if a lot of people will actually buy Kronoses for 1.3 billion. But they're definitely attempting it, and it's really very interesting to see how big an impact an announcement by CCP can have on a market. Because just because they showed a picture basically of this Kronos, it looked, I think, a little bit like this, but then it was deployed, so this upper part, the upper front part, was actually deployed a little bit with lights underneath it and then more guns on it. So it looked really cool, and just the fact that they show this has such an impact right here on the Kronos market, whereas all the others have basically settled back to the point where they were before the announcement. So it's a very interesting suggestion, and I think it does show the psychology also behind the market in EVE Online, and how big an influence any hint by CCP will have on this market. It's actually quite amazing. Because honestly, we also know that all the other ones are also going to get a deployed state, but just showing this Kronos picture was enough to get people to speculate on this and invest heavily in it, trying to make a lot of money. So very good suggestion, and you have a strange situation, but I love how intricate the market in EVE Online is. So that's it for the Marauders. We also had Tech Trees. I'll have a quick look at the fuels, which I think you can see from all these charts are still moving sideways pretty much, which was a little bit unexpected on my part. I would have expected a bit more speculation in this because of all these new deployable buildings, and we don't really know if they'll use fuel. And if that's the case, I would expect prices to actually explode, because the amount might just go up quite a lot. But I guess either there's not even a hint of it being like that, that the new personal depot will need fuel, or someone knows, or I don't know, it could just not be the case. But when they showed this this module, my first thought was, is this gonna need fuel or something in order to be able to protect it with a small shield or something? But that doesn't seem to be the first thought of the market at the moment, because fuels are still going pretty much flat, which is a bit surprising. I thought any announcement concerning modular POSes, which is definitely, it's like the first building block for that, would have an impact on this price, but turns out it's still going flat, so this might be POS only. Quick look at R64. Dysprosium is going up, but then I thought, yeah, neodymium, flat, promethium, and thulium are all going down, but it's really gradual. None of these are real spikes, and I think that this is just normal market behavior. So it looks like the siphon unit, which is something that was announced as well, where basically someone could go in and try to siphon off some of the moon minerals from a moon mining station or installation covertly. Doesn't really have a big impact on the prices at the moment, and I think that's only logical, because after all, the amount of materials coming out of that should still stay the same, even if it's siphoned out. So yeah, this looks like a normal market to me at the moment for the R64 stuff. And was there anything else? Yeah, there was just one more thing before I go to PLEXes that I wanted to check, and that's actually something else that I bought. So let's go for the item hanger. That's the custom office gantries, which I think is actually the biggest impacting feature that they announced for EVE Rubicon. It's that the high-sec POCOs will become destroyable, and you can then put Corp POCO on all the planets in high-sec. I think this is going to be the most impacting change with the expansion, and obviously the market reacted decently heavily to this as well, going from 60 million current prices or 88 million for a POCO, so 20 to 30% increase in price. I also bought one around 70, so I'm already looking at a decent profit on that as well, but I think I might just be holding on to this one until the actual expansion. We'll see if we have any plans with a POCO, but this again, you know, this is clearly a big impact due to the announcement by CCP, so very interesting stuff. And then finally, let's go for the PLEX, which, unfortunately, I don't really like to see this. They bounced right off the 600 million mark, so this was basically when people said, okay, that's enough, I'll start buying PLEX and bring them to the market. I also think that CCP is having a sale on PLEXes at the moment, which should also reduce the price or increase the supply. And so yeah, unfortunately, doesn't look like 615 is in the works just yet. In fact, I did try to sell at the Dixie because at some point the lowest sell order was 532, and so at that point I tried to sell, but no luck so far. However, on a 1 year chart, you might see it just here at the left side of the chart, we had the exact same scenario where we had a first spike and then a correction. At some point, I think here it was more like 580, and after that we had a second speculative spike here that brought it up to 620. So I would not be surprised if we see this again, because a lot of investors are actually actively trying to manipulate the PLEX market to go really high towards the winter expansion. So yeah, one selling opportunity has just passed. I would say 595, something like that. You probably have sold your plexes, and now it's back down to 579 or something like that. Yeah, close to 580, I would say. But I would not be surprised if we see a second spike here soon, because that's also what we had last year, and I don't think that the speculation on all of this is done. It's still almost 2 months before we have the next expansion, and yeah, I do think we'll see higher prices yet for plexes, although I am a little bit surprised by this bounce back. I did not expect it, and I did try to sell above this into Dixie when the spike was really at its peak, and unfortunately I've not been able to sell any of them just yet in the Dixie markets, but I think the next opportunity will come in the next weeks. Anyways, that's it. I think there's very interesting times ahead of us with the new expansion, with the new industries that will be opening up. A perfect opportunity for anyone that's thinking of jumping into industry. At the moment, of course, most of them are mature. People have perfect BPOs of everything, but with these new deployable structures, these mean new BPOs coming to the market that you can research, and you can really get a start together with everyone else in the player base to try and become a manufacturer in those products. So yeah, very, very interesting times ahead of us, in my opinion. Anyways, that's it for this EVE Talk. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.